So today I am going to talk about the 10 most surprising things about moving from the city to an acreage. Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Violet. As some of you may know, in this last year my family moved from Calgary to Brooks. So we went from a big city to medium-sized town. We went from living in the middle of suburbia in a house in the city to an acreage. So we are now on almost 9 acres. What? So as you can see, our truck is dirty. Our car is also dirty. Our vehicles are never, ever, ever clean because we live 2 kilometers down a gravel road. We can drive to town, go to work, wash our car. By the time we get home, it's dirty again. We also are on our cistern, so we don't really have water that we want to be using for washing vehicles. And by the time we would get to work, the gravel road would have kicked up enough that our vehicle would be dirty anyways. Storing it inside in our garage also is not going to help because we still have that gravel road to drive down. That was something that we didn't expect, was our vehicles to always be dirty. Alright, so the second big surprise we've had since moving on the acreage is the amount of wildlife. But since we've been in the acreage, there's a huge range of birds. There's quails, there's porcupines, there's deer, there's coyotes, there's owls, there's falcons, there's everything. Hello, please. We've, of course, brought our own wildlife with us. This is Moppet. He's our big fat gray cat, and he helps us with our number 3 surprise. So, since moving to the acreage, we've had a humongous mouse problem. In our house, I've had to get sealed containers for my pantry because I'm finding granola bars are getting eaten through, bags of flour are getting eaten through, everything is getting eaten through. It's horrible. I've found a nest of baby mice in my silk blouse in my closet and mouse poop on the counters and in the drawers. So that has led me to do a whole pantry thing. Fancy pantries are kind of trendy and I don't like to do things that are trendy. That seems a little bit self-serving. But now we have a fancy pantry because of the mice. So the fourth thing that I didn't expect was hunters. Because there's lots of deer and people have deer tickets all hours of the day. We can walk down a road, we can drive down a road. It's a little bit sketchy because a lot of the time there is actually hunters and you can hear gunshots. My dog kind of looks like, she kind of has the coloration of a deer, so I always worry about her. That's another thing too, is she was a very okay behaved city dog. She would walk with us, she would heel, she would go running with me in the mornings, and for the most part she was pretty well behaved. But since we've been on the acreage, she has been a royal terror. I can't keep her on a lead, I can't keep her on a harness. Oh, hello! Did you come to see me again? So, yeah, my cats are better behaved, and my dog is much worse behaved. How about that? Hi. So speaking of wildlife, going to sleep at night is very tricky because it is very, very quiet, except for when it's not. So my wonderful dog likes to chase off the coyotes and both of them tend to yell at each other all night. And then sometimes it's perfectly quiet and you wonder, what's going on? So, hi. By nighttime is really a challenge on the acreage because it is so quiet, you hear absolutely everything. If you listen right now, you can hear the birds in my tree. Okay, so this next one is hilarious. It may be obvious to people who have done a lot of gardening before, not so much to Phil and I. I can't believe how healthy the weeds grow here. Phil and I decided we'd make a pretty big garden. Let me show you. We had some pretty amazing rain. But yeah, everything has been totally cleaned and rototilled. You can see this is how the beds look when they're clean. Phil did about 4 hours of weeding before he went away for the weekend. You can see we've got our carrots and we've got our onions, you know, all good stuff. But my goodness, look at how healthy our kochia is. That was all rototilled. That all came up within a week. I can say completely in earnest that I did not expect the weeds to grow faster than the plants and for them to come into such full flower and bloom. I feel like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, except instead of a field of poppies, I have a field of kochia to lie in. Goody. Acreage is my kids don't just go outside to play. I expected with all this space and all these sticks and all this grass and hay And all these animals, I mean the dog, the cat, the birds, the owls, the falcons, my children wouldn't be able to stay indoors. Not the case. They still need reminders to go outside to play, and they need deadlines and timers and all the same things we needed to do in the city, except instead of sending them to the playground and keeping an eye out the window to make sure they weren't kidnapped, we're sending them outside and asking them to feed the chickens. Yeah, I completely expected my kids to not want to do screen time and to just play outside, but that's just not how it works. Okay, so the next one is kind of funny. What I didn't expect was allergies. Now, that seems pretty obvious. You go in an acreage and there's all kinds of things floating in there, all kinds of pollen, and the animals, right? Now, I have hay fever and I'm also kind of allergic to animal hair, but it's never really stopped me. What I didn't expect was a whole week in the spring of not being able to breathe very well because of the allergies all coming together. And my son had a pretty similar experience. Now, this is completely seasonal, and once everything's done, it's massive pollination. It's not a problem. I had one of my daughter's friends come over, and now the mother thanked me because her allergic reaction to our acreage allowed them to get the asthma prescription they were looking for. So sorry about that. Aside from allergies, there's like a lot of risks on acreages that you don't think about. So in January, I decided to muck out my barn because I wanted to pour gravel and maybe just have it nice and clean. I was dreaming of whitewashing it, making it super beautiful. Maybe like I could have a goat and maybe we could do like some YouTube videos in there. But instead, Marigold slipped right outside on an icy patch from where the barn had been draining water, and she broke her arm. So that kind of stopped that project. So there's a lot of allergies and there's a lot of dangers that you wouldn't expect. I mean, I can even look up at the trees and it's like, oh, they could fall down on us at any time. Oh, does anyone have a chainsaw we can borrow? All right, so the next one I wanted to talk about, I call this number 9, is the privacy paradox. So on an acreage, 9 acres is a pretty good amount of space. You know, there's lots of places to hide. I can hide in a shed, I can hide in a barn, behind a fence. However, hi train. You wanna see the train? Look. You can hear the train. You can see the train. It doesn't actually stop you from living your life. Hello train, how's it going? CP rail, you can go see my parents today. So the privacy paradox. Find that neighbors are doing farming things at hours that are early and kind of similar to the hours I keep. So I like to do jump rope on my patio at like 6 in the morning, and I typically do it in, you know, my workout clothes, which is fine, except I'm about 6 months pregnant right now, and the neighbor's teenage sons really don't want to see a crazy pregnant lady doing jump rope on her patio at 6 in the morning. So I would say that yes, I have more privacy from large numbers of strangers, but I have more exposure to small numbers of neighbors. Okay, so we've only been here for about 10 months, and Phil and I had brand new teaching jobs, so that meant we didn't really spend a lot of time on the acreage, and it was also, you know, 8 months of winter. So we've got beautiful weather now, and we've got about 1 million projects. I'm sure you saw a few of them as we walked around outside today. One more surprise about living on an acreage, and that is the mornings are so peaceful and calm, and everybody wakes up earlier. So sleeping in looks like 6:30 for me, whereas before I could sleep into 7:30 or 8, and my kids sleeping in looks like 8 a.m. Before they could sleep in till 9, 10 even on a Saturday, but no, everybody's up and at 'em with the sun. Anyways, thank you so much for checking out my video today. If you have also made the move from the city to an acreage, if you've decided to escape the city, please tell me some things that surprised you about your move, and maybe something funny that you noticed or something that you didn't expect. And if you like this style of video, let me know, and I will make sure I make more as time goes on. Have yourself a beautiful day, and talk soon.